When you visit the Kimberleys, you're exploring an area that is 3 times the size of England. This ancient landscape is home to spectacular gorges, waterfalls and lush rainforest. In a subtropical climate, it's characterised by a distinct wet and dry season. With a good wet, water is abundant in the creeks and billabongs. And in this series, you will see a perfect example of what the wet season rains provide. Join me now as we kick up some dust in the rearview mirror and begin our Eastern Kimberley adventure. Located in the north of Western Australia, the East Kimberleys generally encompass the region from the Western Australian Northern Territory border across to the King Leopold Ranges. For travellers, the tracks range from easy to hard going, and tourist numbers swell during the dry season when the humidity drops. We will be crisscrossing this region over the next 12 episodes, showcasing what the area is famous for. To begin with, we're heading straight for Woonambulgambra country in the north. Kununurra is the gateway to the eastern section of the Kimberleys. The Gibb River Road, you could say, passes through the heart of the Kimberleys. It's 660 kilometres long and it's the link from Kununurra to Broome. Now there's a lot to see and do that branch off the Gibb River Road, but we're heading directly for Mitchell Falls. Now why are we doing that? Because we want to see Mitchell Falls in its full glory after the wet season, when that water is rushing down the 80-metre drop. We want to see it when it's in mint condition. So we'll come back and explore this area a little more later on, but first up, we're heading to Mitchell's Falls. Jim Bob, that was our turn off onto the Gibb River Road. The action's starting to happen now. What are your thoughts for the Kimberleys? What are you expecting? Because this is your first time in this side of the country.
Waterfalls, first thing I think about when we talk about the Kimberleys. And as we turn off into the Gibb River Road, beautiful mountain ranges. It's just scenic everywhere you look. So I'm looking forward to dirt roads, of course, as always. Waterfalls, hopefully we can squeeze in a swim.
Yeah, mate, I hope you bought your hiking boots, because straight up Mitchell Falls we've got a hike in, and they're supposed to be pretty spectacular after the wet season.
I have got a nice new set of boots ready to rumble. That's the gravel road sign pen, we must be close.
Your wish has come true, Jim Bob. We've finally hit the dirt after nearly 4,000 Ks.
Yeah! I love it, I love it. I tell you what, the tyres are pretty hard on this dirt. Do you want to pull up somewhere and we'll air them down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim Bob. Sounds like a good idea. I'll find a spot for us.
Righto, I'll follow you.
From here on in, the road is gravel and corrugated, so it's a good time to let your tyre pressures down and smooth out the ride. Now this is going to come in very handy on this trip, the Speedy Tyre Deflator. Currently got about 45 psi in my tyres. In these conditions, I'm going to drop them down to about 35. Okay, that's the tyre pressures adjusted. Now you might be surprised I didn't let my front tyres down, but we already run fairly moderate low pressures in there anyway. I've let the rear tyres down to about 35. We did have 45 in them, and I've also let the camper trailer tyres down as well. Now these tyres were only released last week, so we're learning on the run. We're going to do a couple of Ks, see how it feels, and if we need to adjust them again, it's so easily done. So we'll get cracking and see how we go.
Here we go, Jim Bob, the Pentecost River, our first river crossing.
And it's a decent size too. This is awesome, Penzo. I cannot wait to get my tyres wet.
They say there's a big 4.5 metre croc downstream. His name's Elvis.
Yeah, well, don't leave me behind if I get stuck, please.
No, I see you nice and close there, all good. Looking in the rear view mirror, Jim Bob, check out that scenery.
Oh my goodness, those mountains are beautiful. What a sensational backdrop.
I know, you drive over this massive river and then beautiful backdrop that you're leaving behind. Sensational. About 160 kilometres after the Pentecost River, we ran into this poor traveller.
We lost the back axle.
We're on our way to Drysdale Station and we've come across these guys. They're broken down. It's a Hilux, and on the back over the diff, the U-bolts that hold it in place, they've come off somewhere. So what they're doing is lashing it in place with some winch cable, which is an okay idea. It's all we've got at the moment, and we had a grinder on board so we could cut it for them to make it a bit easier to thread it through. But when you're out in remote places in the Kimberley, or anywhere in fact, you can't leave people when they're in trouble. So slow down, stop, and make sure they're okay. So we'll check in and see how the repairs are going.
Gee, thanks for all this.
Yeah, just send me your email address and I'll send you a bill.
That's it, lovely.
Legend idea, look at that. I'm glad I thought of that.
I'm glad you did too.
I don't know if you guys can see it here, but she used the winch cable to lash down the spring retainer plates, and then he's used a hand winch or come along here to pull it all tight to bring the tension back, and hopefully this will be enough to get it back to Drysdale Station. But it's just incredible what you can do, bush mechanics, when you need to. This is quite ingenious. Well done. Don't leave your power tools at home because you just never know when you'll need them on the road. Looks like John's underway now. He'll just limp it very carefully back to Drysdale Station. See how he goes. We'll keep an eye on him. It's a little bit late now, but can't leave anyone in that situation. We didn't quite make Drysdale Station last night after the repairs with John, but that's okay. We found a flat bit of ground and we camped there for the night. And straight up this morning, first creek crossing, and it's absolutely beautiful. Good way to start the day. We've had one day on the Gibb River Road, Jim Bob, and now this is our day on the Columbaroo track. Last year we did the Canning Stock route. What's your thoughts like comparing the two tracks? I've got my ideas on it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, the Canning Stock route was just a massive achievement. I always wanted to have a conquer of it. True test of man and machine. I love my creek crossings, so we've crossed 5-6 creek crossings already today. Access wise, the road here is amazing. They've looked after it, so access has been really good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim Bob. Doing the Canning is definitely an accomplishment, but with this one here, I really like how it's got the wide open spaces and it's not scratching up the sides of your vehicle. But so far, so good. We'll see what we've got in front. And they're doing a bit of burning off here at the moment, so I think we'll see a few fires along the way.
Bit of bush whippersnipping, never goes astray.
Yeah, it works a treat.
Yeah, mate. Well, let's push on to the falls, Mitchell Falls, and see if we can squeeze in a swim.
Yeah, we'll check out some campsites along the way too. I'll show you a couple of nice spots.
Yeah, okay, let's go. You alright there, Penzo?
I was hoping you wouldn't notice me and just keep driving past. I've got an issue.
Are you stuck, buddy?
So I was waiting patiently here for you, and yeah, come and have a look.
Wowza, okay. It doesn't look too bad.
So I've tried low range and I've moved a little bit, but I think I'm going to need like treads or something.
You could get away with treads, eh?
Yeah, I think so. It's just really soft up in front, so I'm going to have to try and hook it hard back onto the road.
Yep. Alright, we'll give them a go and see if you can get rolling.
Alright.
You want to use mine? Save you getting dirty?
Don't want to get my new boots dirty.
Alright, I'll grab them.
Thanks, Zach. So what's happened, I've come to turn around to go through a creek again, and I couldn't find a spot to turn around, and I finally found a spot, and it's actually really boggy on the side here. It looks dry, But when I looked over, I could see these footprints that had sunk, like cows had sunk into this dirt here. And I'm like, oh no. So I've locked my hubs in, tried that. I've put both the lockers in, but Jimmy's come back and just give me a bit of a hand and see what I can sort out. Ready for launch? Done, we are out. Those treads are a beautiful thing when you're stuck. Okay, bit of excitement, that's what you get waiting for Jim Bob. I fully hold him responsible. Nah, just kidding. As soon as you get onto them, like don't spin your tyres too much, it just gives you enough to get going again. Nah, they're great. Sorry I dirtied them for you, mate.
Oh well, I don't mind if you want to as well.
There is a creek crossing coming up. If you're travelling in places like this, these are a fantastic investment. They're so easy to pack up in your vehicle, easy to carry, but so worth their weight. When you want a quick recovery, they're brilliant. Feels good to be rolling again. I was trying to be nice and wait for Jim Bob, but the King Edward River. Now it can be deep, I've been told, so we'll just put our toes in and see what it's like. It's a fair bit of flow here. There we go, and so it's probably 3/4 up at my wheel. It's a big rock bar along this side here, so just stay clear of that. Beautiful creek. Just a little gnarly section coming out of it, a couple of rocks to negotiate here. Other than that, it's all sweet. After crossing the King Edward River, you're presented with two opportunities to have a look at some fantastic rock art. We're at the first site here, and as you can see behind me, it's still intact and absolutely stunning. Now you do need a UVP pass to visit this area, and all the information is on the screen just below here. And when you arrive, you get one of these from the ranger with all the information on it. Now, I think a lot of people just look at the two sections here that have the fencing on it. But take your time and walk around the defined tracks, looking at all the various art through here. It's like a treasure hunt. The kids are gonna love it. When you're walking through the tracks, have a look underneath rocks and you'll be surprised what you find. This is one of my favourites. There's some little tiny children's hands painted here. There's also a turtle underneath. Very cool. Try to time your visit if you can to arrive here between mid and late afternoon. This is when the sun has lost its harshness and the rock art is really glowing to life. And now that we've seen some amazing art, how about I show you guys some campsites so you know what to expect when you come here yourself. Only a couple of kilometres back down the road is the grassy Monora campgrounds on the edge of the King Edward River. At Monora Campground, you've got all the basic facilities. You've got your toilet and a campfire where you can have a roaring fire at night. A nice grassy area which is perfect for camping. You're also on a permanent water source with the King Edward River, and it's great for taking a swim. This is also the entry point to Mitchell Falls, and it's recommended that only single axle off-road trailers go on from this point onwards. A lot of people leave their caravans here and make a long day trip into the falls. It's 3 hours in and 3 hours back. This is a perfect spot for camping, and I know you guys will love it. And I would like to thank the Woonambral Gambra people for having us here.
Woonambral Gambra.
Leaving Monora Campground, you'll travel about 78 kilometres on a track that can be heavily corrugated with washouts along the way. During the wet season, this track is generally impassable. but usually by about now in May you can get through. And depending on what type of wet season they've had, there may still be sections of boggy, muddy track that you will have to negotiate. But it's a beautiful day here in WA and we're ready to do some four-wheel driving. We've been told by the rangers that the last 14 kilometres are the roughest section of this track. From the airfield onwards, the grader doesn't go this far. So a tip for you guys at home, it's probably a good time to let your airbags down if you've got them installed. Mine are at 50, I'm going to take them down to about 25. We've also let the boat tyres down as well to smooth out the ride, because this section is really tough going. So let's get into it and see how bad it really is. That was the grader we just passed, and up until him the road had been pretty good. Now it's changed and it's definitely getting a little bit more difficult, so fingers crossed. The Port Warrender Road can become very corrugated soon after it's been graded, and it's not recommended for dual axle trailers due to this reason. This road is classed as a medium grade and recommended for high clearance four-wheel drives with low range. The track coming in wasn't actually too bad, but it did take the recommended 3 hours to traverse in here. We've paid our camping fee, so now we're going to find a nice shady spot to pull up for the night. Merton's campground makes for a great base to explore the Mitchell Falls area. There's quite a few points of interest along this walk. First of all is Littlerton Falls with some rock art. Now to go all the way to Mitchell Falls, it's about 7 kilometres return and allow about 4 hours to do the walk. Make sure you take some water, a hat and good hiking boots and you'll be right.
So how are your boots going, Penza?
Yeah, mine got really good arch support actually.
See that?
So you can't feel like this is the second time I've worn them and no blisters. What about yours?
Yeah, mine are great. I actually put my foot in the water as I went across that little creek.
Waterproof?
Yeah, the water just beaded straight off.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Littlerton Falls is the first that you come across. It's only about an 800-metre walk and allow about 15 minutes. Now this is a good spot to swim. It's not too deep, but just be aware there is a ledge there where the waterfall drops directly off. So just stay away from that area as the rocks can be a bit slippery. But come and check it out. For you guys at home, if you struggle with this physical aspect of walking the 800 metres to this point, hang in there. Just go a little bit further and there's some spectacular rock art that is really worth that little extra effort. Come and have a look. Aboriginal culture runs deep in this country and you can see by their art here the links to the land. On your way down to the bottom of Littlerton Falls, take a look up at these massive sandstone cliffs and you'll see this incredible artwork. The one I'm looking at the moment is a display of all sorts of different animals. Some of these may even be extinct now, but back then they were roaming the earth quite freely. And it makes you wonder how they did some of this art. There must have been more of a rock ledge to stand on because there's nothing there now. Just incredible to see. And if you continue down this way, you can actually go behind the waterfall here.
How amazing is this, Penza?
Ah, mate, awesome.
One of the few places I know of that you can walk in underneath the waterfall.
I know, you can get all the way through it. You just got to be careful on the rocks, but you can feel the spray coming off it. Incredible.
Imagine it during the full wet season. It'll just be blasting over into the water.
Yeah, thundering down into that plunge pool.
Yeah.
This is epic.
Very cool, isn't it?
Whether you come here in the morning or in the afternoon like we have, you'll see the water spraying off the waterfalls, and the light coming through it is actually producing a stunning rainbow. And it's definitely a great way to end a day of walking tracks and exploring. A good dip never goes astray.
Can hear those waterfalls, Penzo.
Yeah, I read in the trek notes that you do actually cross a couple of creeks, so it'd be interesting to see how deep they are.
Cool.
Legs get a good workout down these rocks. We haven't been walking for too long, and you come down to this beautiful body of water and check out that scene underneath that cliff there.
It's amazing, isn't it? The amount of art looks like a big story that's been told there.
And what I really like is the detail's still there. The colours are still vibrant. It's been retained over the elements that have affected it over the years.
It's almost like, yeah, the cliff face has preserved it, kept it out of the weather.
Yeah, yep. So you do your painting up there, and then look what you've got down here. Go for a swim.
Jump in, catch a black brim for dinner.
Yeah, yep. That's living, hey?
Isn't it? Sounds amazing.
This is absolutely stunning. Just watch your footing, it's a bit slippery.
That's sensational.
Takes your breath away, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Look how huge that whole big cliff face is.
Incredible.
See that one right down the end there?
Looks like it's just towering. Save this in the memory banks, Jim Bob.
Oh mate, this is going on the wall at home.
We've seen Little Mertons and just then Big Mertons, but the finale of this walking track is just around the corner. It's got some strength to it. I'm trying to keep 2 feet on it at the same time, not lift one up too much.
Yeah, at least it's nice and clear. You can see where your feet are going.
Yeah. There's little baby steps.
Yep.
Made it.
Yeah, we made
It's a
it.
bit wild.
High five, babe.
There's some really high rock ledges where you can get some good vantage points to view the falls along the way. But I tell you what, nothing beats it than seeing it from the air. But don't tell Jim Bob.
What's going on here, mate?
Well, budget constraints, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, you're going to have to walk back.
Hey! What the hell?
You'll be right to put your boots on, mate. I had to cut costs somewhere, so yeah, just look after yourself. I'll see you back at camp, hey?
Man, thank you. You think you know your mates.
Okay, folks, I've just taken off so you can see the Mitchell Falls just out here on the right.
Straight after the wet, these falls are absolutely spectacular from the air. One-way flights are available but need to be booked the day before to guarantee a seat. Jimmy looked so sad walking back by himself, so I've sent the chopper back to go and get him. I'm just going to have to find another way to cut some costs. We started out on the Gibb River Road, crossed Spinifex Plains studded with boab trees. Our first river crossing was the Pentecost and then into Drysdale Station. But our ultimate goal has always been here, the Mitchell Plateau, and the falls have not disappointed. Stay tuned next week to the top of Down Under for more of the beautiful Kimberleys.